Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another live stream. Good morning from Maui. I'm over on the other side. We stayed at my aunt's place the other day, so South Shore view today. A little bit different. Sunday morning, cloudy Sunday morning in Hawaii. All right, who have we got in the chat? If you're just joining us, say hi. And did you sail this week? We've got Suna in the chat. Good evening from Denmark. 3 sessions last week, 3-7, 4-0, and 4-5. Putting the whole quiver to use. I love to see it. Suna, you are a legend. I love how much you get on the water. Denmark is a windsurfing country. I think people outside of Denmark and Germany probably don't know that, but Denmark is a windsurfing country, and Suna definitely shows that that is true all year round. I love it. We've got Matt in the chat as well. Hello, Matt. No sailing this week, but he's going to hit it early tomorrow morning. Cool. What's the forecast like? What is the forecast like? We've got Facebook. Is this someone on Facebook? Oh, it's annoying that Facebook hides the names, but you are going to Klitmuller and Heiligenhafen. Sounds fun. That sounds really fun. We've got south of Sweden in Casaberga. Am I saying that right? Cross onshore starboard tag. Tried out the heated gloves. Okay, this must be Ragnar. So we've got Caro going to Klitmuller and Heiligenhafen. Sick. And Ragnar trying out heated gloves. Love it. Rasmus sailed on flat water. Cool. We've got Stefan. There's going to be good conditions on the Swedish coast. Nice. This is one of my sessions. The video that we're looking at is one of my sessions from last week. It's been windy for Maui. It's been windy for Maui. This was a weird session. I had some really good waves and also some moments where things were just not working. Like this one, it looks like I landed it and then, oh, I fell. Why did I fall? Well, why I fell is because I landed this move and then I saw the guy in the water. You can see where I'm looking straight ahead. And it's so difficult when you're riding a wave to really judge how close you are. Would I've run him over? I don't know. If we get pretty close, and if I'd landed that and held on to it, I would have traveled farther down the line. We came pretty close, so I slammed on the brakes to try to get away from him, which it's always better to avoid running someone over if you can, especially if they're in the water trying to water start. Who has priority, is a question that's asked a lot. But if they're in the water trying to water start, they have priority. That's just how it works. And yeah, then otherwise, had a few fun waves, but also was crashing more than normal. But that's fine. Crashing is not bad. I think it's good to get it out of your head that crashing is something bad. Crashing is normal. Crashing is a normal part of the windsurfing experience and the learning experience. We're not going out there to keep our hair dry. We're going out there to get wet, right? At least I got wet. And so crashing is one of the fastest ways to get wet, to get soaked. So definitely don't be hard on yourself for crashing. In fact, I would like to flip that around. You should be hard on yourself. If you never crash, that means you're not trying new things. All right, we got Max in the chat. Stacked on a 5-3 after 5 12-hour nights. Well, at least you're getting some wind. At least you're getting some wind. All right, Dennis. Hello, Dennis. 2 sessions, 1 in the waves, 1 on flat water. All right, I'm going to move to the Facebook group. If you have not said hello in the chat, say hello in the chat. I want to know where you are. If you windsurf this week, what is going on in your windsurfing life, in your windsurfing world? We're going to move on to the Facebook group. All right, let's close this out and get the Facebook group loaded up. Here we go. All right, here we go. Here's the Facebook group. Let's just refresh this, make sure we've got the newest content put this new post. So you can do this yourself as well. If you want newest activity or new posts, it don't have to do the most relevant, which is what Facebook wants you to do, um, which is maybe interesting. All right. So first up, before we get into the posted content, I've got a few admin things to go through. But first, Bart had a session in Cornwall. Nice. And Hans had some flat water sailing with the wife and kids. Nice. Super nice. Hans is so dedicated. Hans, I love how dedicated you are. And we've got a post from Hans first up. But first, before we get into that, we've got some admin stuff. So if you want to support the Facebook group, and there are a group of legends who are currently supporting and have been supporting Christoph, Dennis, Eric, Jenny, Greg, Jeff, Jorg, Matt, Ragnar, Roland, Samuli, Tomas. Thank you guys for your support. It helps. Where does this go to? So if you're donating money towards the Facebook group, where does it go to? It helps pay for some of the services, like the streaming services and the equipment. And then also whatever on top of that gets reinvested into other coaching things, so that we can have a better coaching experience, help the community, help the different aspects of this coaching project. So there's different tiers of support. So here's our 2024 Hall of Fame. Thank you guys. And a few different levels of support. So there's the highest level is platinum, and you can go down to bronze, or if you want to do a one-time donation, helps the channel out. And at the gold and platinum levels, it comes with a private WhatsApp group as well as a monthly Zoom call. And that Zoom call, the first Zoom call, is going to be coming up soon. So if you want to get in on that, sign up here. And the WhatsApp group has been going strong with these guys, and it's going to get stronger. We are adjusting the format a little bit, and I think it's going to be really good going forward. So I am excited. So if you want to support the Facebook group, there's the link to do it. It's pinned at the top. As well, if you are interested in joining a in-person masterclass, here's the schedule. So if you just go to windsurfingmasterclass.com and go in the navigation, you can go on the masterclass schedule. We've got Learn to Loop happening on Maui, the Wave Sailing Masterclass happening on Maui, Tenerife Masterclass in August, Denmark Masterclass in September, and then there's the Big Wave Elite program, as well as the possible masterclass weeks. It looks like maybe Morocco in June. It looks like there's interest for it. I haven't had the time to get into planning it yet. So Bujma is back from Chile, and I'm going to enlist him to help me plan something. But if I can get something planned, it will happen, because I really would like to go back to Morocco. So two things. If you want to sign up for an in-person masterclass, this is where to do it. So if you just go to windsurfingmasterclass.com, and then on the side navigation, you've got your masterclass schedule. And as well, if you want to support the Facebook group and these live coaching, here is how you can do so. All right, let's get back into it. It's enough of the admin. I will post this in the chat just so that you guys can find it. Windsurfingmasterclass.com. All right, that should work if I spelled it right. All right, next up, first up. Oh, we've got to put this back on new posts. All right. Next up, we've got Hans. So Hans is still far from his Leeside goals to ride like burned. The wind made him wait, so he's practicing the Leeside riding on the big board. Leeside riding, if you don't know what it is, we're going to see what it is. And it is something that I recommend. It is one of the first drills that I get people to do when we're doing wave sailing training. I think it looks cool. It's great practice for your tacks. Teaches you a lot about riding waves. Teach you a lot about how the sail works. So he said he's taking off down the wave, but carves upwind immediately using toe side pressure right after the transition. And this avoids the sail throwing you over. Speed helps, but the more speed, the more upwind to transition. The angle of takeoff is pretty important, not to have the water roll under or completely overpower and throw you when going straight down. Thanks, Stefan, for making. All right, let's kill the sound, make this full screen, and let's see. All right, so light conditions, catching the wave going downwind, flipping over to the other side, getting the sail really leaned over. So the wave doesn't have much power. You can see the wave actually doesn't even break. And so that Hans is going to be really a challenge for carving on the wave because it's not even breaking. And so whether you're riding at Leeside or not, the power of the wave is going to determine the power of the turns that you can do. And a wave that doesn't even break is going to really limit the amount of carving that can happen. That said, your form is looking pretty good. One thing that I would try to do that I think would help you get a little bit more speed is to stand more upright, and so to have the sail more upright. So rather than having the sail so pushed over and have your body so bent over, which is a powerful stance and is maybe the position you want to get in as you're doing the carves on the wave. But having a more upright stance with the sail more upright is going to generate more power in the sail. Think of when you're sailing in light wind and you want to get going, you want to get that sail really up and forward, and that's going to help the sail capture the wind. You can have that sail kind of by your hips. Like, this is a great position. I love this position. This is the position I'm always talking about you getting into in your bottom stroke, where your butt out and that knee bend and the hip bend. And so it's shocking to me that I'm saying to try a different position. But for this move, for the Leeside move, what you can do is get the get a more upright position as well and get comfortable in that more upright position. And that will allow the sail to generate more power. And then you can push into this position, and that will allow you to actually have more speed and do harder carves. So I think that's the biggest thing I would work on, those two things. One is getting waves with more power, and two is being in a more upright position. And that upright position is going to give you, one, more speed, and you'll feel it. You'll feel the power in the sail. And that's going to be a new challenge for you, because if you're not balancing that correctly, it's going to blow you right over. So you have to learn how to feel the power on the other side, and that's going to be a new experience. But it'll allow you to have more speed and something more to push against. We've got someone else on Facebook saying they sailed over 200 miles on Sanibel so far this April, mostly on the foil. Cool. So Hans, I hope that makes sense. I don't know if there's a video I could quickly pull up that would give an example of we could just see Burn Roediger Leeside. Is this going to pop up? Let's see if we can find it. Let's see if we can find his Leeside riding. Maybe. I also like Leeside riding. So here's an example. And so you can see when he's turning, okay, he's really bent over. I mean, this is crazy how radical it is. But when he's sailing straight, he actually is standing up quite tall. And that allows for more speed, and then he's pushing against it when he's carving, which powers up the sail. But getting comfortable standing tall and having the sail stand tall is a really important next step. All right, let's move on. All right, we got Rich in the chat. Hello, Rich. Tuesday session nuking. Nice. All right, next up we have a post from Jeff. Jeff said that he found himself riveted to the Chile live stream. They had good conditions. One of the things he noticed from the drone shots was how often riders had their back foot out of the strap to sail upwind, even when planing. I tried it the other day and it made upwind much faster. Yeah, if you're on a radical waveboard it's not designed, well, it depends on the board, but most radical wakeboards are not designed that you can comfortably sail in both straps. They're designed that when you're in both straps, that is your riding position, and it's going to have a lot of pressure on the back of the board, but that's not necessarily what you want for getting going and for getting upwind. So when I'm at Hokipa, I'm almost always out of my back strap if I'm not riding a wave or going for a jump. So say I'm sailing out, I'm out of my back strap. Even if I'm fully powered, overpowered, I'm out of my back strap. And I even jump out of my back strap. I don't mean like doing back loops and forward loops, but I mean, you know, jump 4, 5, 6 feet, 1, 2 meters high off the chop with the back foot, and with the back foot out of the strap. And it's really good practice as well. It teaches you a lot about the dynamics of jumping, because you can still keep the contact on the bottom of the board. This is a really good exercise. This is something I should make a video on. I don't know how to get the footage. It's a little bit nuanced to get the footage, but basically it's similar to a skateboarding ollie, where you're using your front foot to push the board forward, and that by pushing the board forward, it raises the tail, right? So the board is coming up like this, and your front foot is pushing it forward. And by pushing it forward, then it levels it out, right? So if this is your board and you're coming up like this, if you push this forward, then it levels it out, right? And so you do that with your front foot when you're jumping with the back foot out of the strap, and the back foot will stay attached to the board. It's fun to do. It's really good training, teaches you a lot about the dynamics of jumping. So I really recommend it. Who is this not for? This is not for intermediate riders. This is really a more advanced technique. It's also something you don't need to do if you don't have a really radical board. Somewhere like Pozo, where I'm on a 3.7 and I'm generally on a faster rocker board, I almost always have my feet in both straps, and I'm going for jumps and whatever else. So different kind of place. But for somewhere where you're really focused on the wave riding and you have a radical wave board, then being out of that back strap is really beneficial, and it's difficult to do. And so I recommend training it in small doses and not giving up if it's hard. We've got some great chat about this. And some people are saying that they don't imagine how it's possible. Some people are saying they do it all the time. And I think it's a really good technique. Again, it depends on your board, whether you need to or not, but it's something that I do. And I think it's really, really beneficial. Helps for going upwind, helps for getting planing early. You don't want to jump into both straps as soon as you can. This is huge, because the boards, if you're riding a board that turns well, it probably needs a little bit help getting going with the speed. And if you just plunk your feet in the straps, especially that back strap, you're going to sink the tail. It's going to be hard to get going. It's going to be hard to get upwind. So you want to be out of the back strap. And what you want to work towards is being really nimble with your feet. So I hear people say you want to be playing the piano with your boom. You don't want to just be locked on to 2 points. 100%, I agree with that. And what I add is you also want to be playing the piano with your feet on the board. You want your feet to also be really nimble and moving around. Sometimes you're in both straps. Sometimes you come out of that back strap. Sometimes you move in front of the mass track, and you're moving around on the board to keep the board level and moving and going where you want to go. Max says, put a camera under the back foot strap screw to capture the feet. That sounds interesting. I've never tried that. I wonder if I could do that with a GoPro. All right, next up, we've got a question from Fabian, who bought this used Cheetah, and the Velcro indicator has been moved, and so wondering how to set it. So when the sails are calibrated in the factory, there's a line that's drawn on them. Now it looks like that line has worn away. So what you need to do is rig with the indicators on the leash to find the medium setting, and then move this so that the medium setting lines up with the bottom of the mast. And then you can use the Velcro indicator for your rigging. You don't have to look at the leech anymore. I love rigging off of the indicators. I find it makes rigging so easy, and I don't have to guess about how my sail is flopping the leech around. I love it. All right, next up, do you want a new board for summer or for life? Fabien Taboo, for the first time ever and for a limited time, is offering full custom boards from his workshop in the south of France. If you're interested, let me know and I will connect you. So they're full carbon, full custom boards, and they're about 3,000 euros. Fabien is an amazing shaper. Really, really good boards. I cannot. These are the boards that I ride. My last boards are all from his French workshop, and the quality is so high. It's a level of quality higher than what you could get from out of Cobra, or I don't want to say anywhere else, because there's a lot of high quality boards that are made in workshops around the world. But if you're used to production boards, this is, I don't know how many levels higher in terms of quality. And yeah, so it's a limited time that he's doing this, because because it's the reason is more tricky. Windsurfing, the numbers have been dropping, and so seeing about opening up, doing custom boards for people rather than relying on the production model, which I think is really cool. It's a little bit sad for the state of windsurfing, but it's a cool opportunity, and it's a return, I think, to kind of how it was in the 80s, where there were a lot more custom board options around. And yeah, Fabien has so much experience and knowledge. It's really cool for that to be open to the general public. All right, we got a question from Ragnar. Jumping with one strap, does it increase the injury of knees if you crash? It will increase the injury. I think that it's not that risky if you're jumping not that high. If you're thinking about jumping 30 centimeters right at the beginning, I don't think it's very risky. But whenever you're in just one strap, it increases the risk of injury, not just to your knees, but your ankles, to everything else. It's kind of a big no-no. You want to always be in both straps. You don't want to just be in one strap. So it is a more advanced training technique, and it is definitely something that you should do. That with like I'm not telling everyone to go out and do it. I think it's a good thing to train, but if you're nervous about injuring yourself, don't do it. All right, next up, I was filming some material for upcoming online courses. This is a boomerang into a heli tank. And I was wondering, what freestyle moves do you do on your wave gear? We got a lot of great answers. I love going through them. Everything from spin loops to up and downwind 360s, Vulcan, Spox, Flockas, punches, wave shakas, all kinds of things. Duck tacks, duck jive. Yes, duck jives count. Duck jives are definitely a freestyle move. And yeah, so I love reading all of the responses. If you haven't responded and you do freestyle moves on your wave gear, let me know. Max says, jumping not in the back strap makes you super aware of bearing away and keeping the board planing on landing. Yeah, I think it teaches you a lot. Again, there's risk to doing this training because you're out of the strap, but I think it teaches a lot. I think it's a pretty good thing to work on. All right, Bruno Valenti says he's looking for the first trip, 2 to 3 weeks. He wants to improve his wave riding and jumping in side-off spots, but still love windy and side-on conditions. Where is the good period in April, May, and not too expensive? So my answer would be very good, but expensive. Maui. Where else is good, but not too expensive? Difficult, but amazing conditions. Though a little late in the season. Cabo Verde. Not expensive and very good. More May would be Morocco. Where else? Where else would you guys go? I'm guessing from the name Bruno, you're in Italy. I mean, yeah, that is my guess. So in Europe, and so we're not looking at places in Asia or the Pacific, because May can be good. Is May, so if we've got any Americans in the chat, is May too early for the Oregon coast? Is May too early for the Oregon coast? I'm going to throw these in here. If you guys have some more contributions, put it in Bruno's thread. I love questions like that. There's so many good windsurfing spots around the world. All right, next up, Caro's forward loop journey. I love her journey. It's so cool to see. So Rasmus is saying Portugal to travel. I love Caro's forward loop journey. She's done it slow and steady, and I just love it. It's such a contrast to the just huck it mentality, which I really don't like. I don't like the just huck it forward mentality. I think building up good technique is slowly and surely is the way to do it. And you can do that in a period of days or a period of years. And both of those are fine. And I really love looking at this journey. So one thing, there's a couple things here, Carl, that you can think about. I mean, you're making such great progress. So first of all, I just want to congratulate you on that. Getting height, getting good, solid rotation. I think one of the things that we want to work on is making it so that your body is more the axis of rotation. And so we've already improved from before, where you're getting less of that whip on your head. But one thing that you can think about is thinking about rotating where your harness lines are, or between your hands on the boom. And so you're pushing and pulling around that axis of rotation, so that like there's a pole going through your harness lines and you're rotating around that pole. So what are you going to push, pull, and twist in order to rotate around that pole? And that might help in terms of getting that rotation. And the other thing is getting a little bit more separation from the sail in the takeoff. So getting that really big push away from you before you sheet in and go. Let me see if I have a I'm looking for a I am looking for a video. All right, so check this out. So this is me doing a forward loop, and look at how extended I am and how high above my head I'm throwing the gear. And so the way it feels to me is like I'm making an X. So I'm extending everything. I'm extending my arms out. I'm extending my feet out as I'm pushing off the ramp. I'm making an X with my body. And then as I pull everything in, I'm going into a ball. So it's small to tall to ball. So you're small going into the ramp, and then you push off the ramp into that X, and then you come back into that ball again. And that makes that really clean, controlled forward rotation. So let's look at this a little bit more slowly. So pushes off and then pulling in. You can see I'm pulling really hard in and twisting, because again, that rotation point is in the middle of the boom. And so if you're rotating around the middle of the boom, it doesn't make sense to pull in on that front hand, right? Because if you think about, you're trying to rotate around a pole, if you had a pole going through the middle of the boom and you're trying to rotate, if you pull in with both hands, you don't go anywhere. You have to push with that front hand and pull with the back hand and twist with your torso to get that rotation around that pole. And so you can see that's what's happening here, tucking the legs up and rotating around. You can see that my head stays almost in the same position through the loop. And that's because my body is really the center of the rotation. And if we compare that to the photo sequence of Caro, we can see how much her head is moving through the loop. And that creates a feeling of a lot more acceleration. You don't know where you are. That feels a lot more whippy. Makes it a lot scarier. So if you can have your body the center of rotation and everything is rotating around you, then the rotation feels a lot slower to you and you have a lot more control. And so the two things I would say to work on that is really thinking about having that pole, that invisible pole going through your boom at the harness lines, and that's what you're trying to rotate around. And the second is getting more separation as you go off the ramp, so going into an X. And so there's a comment here which I didn't understand at first, but once I understood it, I thought was really interesting. And it's from Manu, and he's talking about raising the elbow at the beginning of the rotation. As you can see this video from Pons where he's lifting his elbow up to when he's going into that X. And there's, I think, another one from Manu himself. And how do I get out of this? I'm stuck in this. I don't know why. Hold on. All right. We're back. So he's thinking about, instead, I'm really thinking about pushing the gear up, but he's also thinking about pulling the gear up, and that might be helpful for you. So I would try two of those things. Like, again, we're trying to get that separation to get that X, and whether you're thinking about pushing with that backhand or you're thinking about pulling with the backhand up, so you're getting the, how do you see it? So you're getting the elbow up as you're with the backhand and then pulling, or if you're just thinking about pushing up like an X. Either way, whatever gets it to work for you. There's a lot of good comments. Thank you everyone for commenting here. All right, next up, Bart was working hard in the cutback. You're doing it wrong, and he's trying to hit the top turn later, perhaps pushing it too much, which is why he's losing the fins. We got some slow motion. Let's make this full screen. Let's go full screen. All right, so we've got some good carve, pushing. So there's a comment on this thread from Hans that I absolutely love. And Hans says, you're not losing the fins, you're losing the rail. And I think that's a really good explanation of what's happening here. So you want to think about getting that board on the rail and then driving on the rail rather than pushing laterally. There's almost no lateral push in the cutback. So you're not pushing horizontally on the wave. You're trying to get that heels in and driving the heels to get the rail engaged. And so it's more of that lever. And there is some push, some lateral push that happens through that heel push, primarily with the back foot, and then that's what allows the tail releases to happen when you see that happen. But it doesn't feel like you're pushing across the wave. It feels like you're driving the heels in, but then the way that works is sometimes you end up carving on the nose, and then the tail comes out. So really focus on getting that lateral push out of your head, and instead just driving the heels. And so then you're not bringing the hips in. So you want to drop the hips. So you really want to think about sitting down more in the cutback. So you don't want to have your hips up. You want to think about having your hips down, and then your head can actually come more up. So this position where your head is back and your hips are up and your knees are bent is not a position that you want to be in for the cutback. You want to have your hips going down towards the wave. You can really drop your hips and have your head more upright, and that allows you to put more vertical pressure on the board to get it turned over. Does that make sense? We got a lot of good comments from people. Manu's saying you can go for takas. You can't actually. This is not a position you can go into a taka. The taka, you have to be very upright going into it. Different kind of thing. All right. It looks like we're caught up. We've got a few people in the chat. Jeff said it's been windy lately. Slowly learning to windsurf again. Nice. I'm happy to hear that you're getting on the water, Jeff. It's been quite a year for you, and I hope I see you. Soon. Max says, welcome back, Jeff. Yeah, we all welcome you back. Rasmus says the rail line is too long and the board digs the rail. Yeah, that's an interesting way of thinking about the line on the cutback. Let's go back and watch the footage and see. So you're saying the rail line of the board is too long, or you're saying that the line that he's taking on the cutback is too long. I could see saying that the board rail line is too long, which means that you want to be really on the back foot. And I think that's maybe good advice, is you don't want to come too far forward on your cutback rail, because it looks like the way that the outline of this board is, there's a lot of rail sticking out in the front here, which then will cause the fins to release when that engages. So really think about driving on your back foot to keep the front of the board out of the water, and think about really doing that cutback on the back of that board. And this is pretty specific to this board that we're talking about, but it can be good advice for a lot of different boards. You really want to be on that back foot. And here you've got pretty equal pressure and a lot of forward pressure. And then you can see that as this rail engages in the front, then the tail comes out, right? So that's a good insight from Rasmus. Thank you. Thank you, Rasmus. We got Greg in the chat. Hello, Greg. All right, guys, we are fully caught up. So if you want to support these live streams and the Facebook community, there's a pinned post at the top here. You can click this and follow the link, and there's instructions how to do it. Thank you to the current supporters: Christoph, Dennis, Eric, Jenny, Greg, Jeff, Jorg, Matt, Ragnar, Roland, Samuli, and Tomasz. You can just follow this. If you join the platinum or gold tiers, which all of these guys are in the gold tier or above, if you join the platinum or gold tier, then you get access to a private WhatsApp group and a monthly Zoom. We're going to do the first Zoom pretty soon. So if you want to get in on that, sign up, and you support the Facebook group and the Zoom. You support the Zoom, but also the Facebook group and the live streams. If you want to join an in-person clinic with me, you can follow the same link or go windsurfingmasterclass.com and check out the masterclass schedule. And they're right here. All right, I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I hope it's windy. I will see you next week, Sunday. Take care, everyone, and have a good week. See you Sunday. Bye.